Well, welcome again, everyone. Merry Christmas again. It's great to be with you on this feast of the Holy Family. Many of you still have relatives in town, I'm sure. Others of you are visiting from out of the area. If you are visiting with us today, you are very welcome. You are our honored guests, and we're so glad that you are here. Today, I want to talk with you about ligaments of love. Like Jesus, we were all born into human families. You were not beamed down from outer space. You did not arrive here by accident. It was not some strange twist of fate that brought you together. It was not some strange twist of fate that brought you together. Your family was put in your life by God. God put your family in your life. And as imperfect as they may be, they are God's way of guiding you to your destiny, shaping your life and your future, your whole story. It's easy to take your family for granted, focusing on the frustrations, the stress, the personality clashes, the day-to-day hard work of trying to love people who aren't always at their best, who aren't always easy to love. But don't sell them short. Don't miss the gift right in front of you. As much as your family may struggle in certain areas, they are not a burden for you to endure. They are the ligaments of love holding your whole world together. In his letter to the Colossians, the Apostle Paul was writing to an early Christian community struggling in their faith. Different viewpoints and practices were pulling them apart, and Paul wrote this letter to remind them that Christ was the glue, the center of that faith family, the one who had brought them together in the first place and the one who would keep them together. Paul wrote, Jesus is before all else, and in him all things hold together, including the Christian community, including the Christian family. In today's second reading, Paul went on to describe what the ideal Christian family would look like. He didn't say that they would be perfect. He didn't say that they would be spared from the typical challenges that most families face, the everyday struggles, the arguments, the hard times, the tough times. Living together in peace and loving one another would have to be a deliberate choice, a decision that they would have to make every single day, just like what kind of clothes you would wear. He said, put on then, God's chosen ones, holy and beloved, heartfelt compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience, bearing with one another and forgiving one another if one has a grievance against another. As you are forgiven by the Lord, so must you also do. Paul knew that there would always be conflicts in families, friction among relatives, gossip, judgments, but he also knew the key, the solution. Don't give up on your family. That's why he said, put on love. That is the bond of perfection. Because it's love that holds families together. It's love that overlooks the hurts, the failures, the disappointments. What's interesting is that the Greek word in that passage literally means ligament or binding connection. And if you think about it, ligaments are the quiet heroes of our bodies. They don't protect us like our bones do, you know? And they're not flashy like our muscles, but they are essential to our health. They're essential to our health. Ligaments are these tough elastic bands, connective tissue holding our bones together, and without them we would literally fall apart. In the same way, love is what holds families together. It is the connective tissue of the Christian family. Several times a week, I like to go down to the gym, and it's one of my favorite things to do. I really enjoy it, and especially lifting weights. I've been doing it for years now. It should be obvious. Thank you. It keeps me from, it's why I look so much younger than my age, but, and I'm also humble. But seriously, I really enjoy doing it. It's an activity that I've been doing for a while, and it does help me feel stronger and do my job. But one of the things I've learned is that the greatest danger in the gym is not weak muscles, it's weak ligaments. A lot of beginners try to lift too much too fast. They bypass the the warm-ups, they dive straight into the heavy weights. They push harder than their bodies are ready for. And for a while, they might be able to build muscle that way, but they're putting enormous stress and pressure on their ligaments, those quiet connectors that hold everything together. And that's what leads to injuries, to tears, to sprains, and months of recovery. The same is true with the family. We all love those big muscle moments, don't we? The holidays when everybody comes home, the vacations together, the celebrations, the weddings and so on, the movie nights and the shopping sprees together. But unless you take the time to strengthen the connective tissue, unless you reinforce those ligaments with kindness and patience and forgiveness and everyday small gestures of love, it can easily fall apart. If you want a strong family, you have to strengthen those ligaments of love. You have to strengthen those ligaments of love. Your family is a gift from God. They may have some flaws. They may not always be on their best behavior. You might not always see eye to eye with them. Your spouse might be dismissive sometimes. Your children or grandchildren, a handful. Your extended family, hard to deal with sometimes, but they are a priceless treasure, a cherished blessing in your life. And the key is to make them the priority. You have to focus on what's really important. 2 years ago, I went home to Atlanta for Thanksgiving, first time since COVID. I no longer have family in that area, but I have friends that are like family. And one of my closest friends invited me over for his extended family's Thanksgiving celebration. When I arrived, at the same time another car was pulling up. It was one of the many cousins in that family, a big Catholic family. And it was a young lady in her 30s. And I didn't even know her that well, but when she saw me, she jumped out of her car with a glass casserole dish in her hand, placed the dish on the hood of her car, and then came running over, racing over to give me a hug. Unfortunately, she didn't notice that she had put that dish on the curved part of her hood. And so as she was hugging me, that sad dish ever so slowly started sliding off. I watched in horror, somehow unable to form the words quickly enough to warn her. And before I knew it, that dish had splattered on the ground and exploded like glass confetti all over the driveway and the concrete. I thought, oh, this is a disaster. She's going to be so upset. It's my fault because she was giving me a hug. But I'll never forget the next part. She looked over her shoulder, saw what happened, turned back, and kept hugging me. Finished the hug. Of course, she wasn't upset about it at all, but I think it was because later I learned she wasn't the one who had cooked that casserole. But still, she understood the priority. It wasn't the food, it was the relationship. Take the time to tell your family how much you love them, how much you appreciate. Tell God and tell them how grateful you are to God for putting them in your life. Parents, I know it's tempting. Grandparents, I know it's tempting to get upset with the kids when they don't listen to you or do what you want them to do when you want them to do it. They kind of do their own thing, don't listen. But try not to get too upset. Pope Francis once said, get down on the ground, on the floor, and play with them. If you have a middle schooler, let him or her teach you the video game that they love so much. If you've got a high schooler, ask him or her to show you how to use AI. It will make them feel loved because it will show them that they are important to you. Husbands, tell your wives how beautiful they are. Wives, ladies, tell the men in your life how proud you are of them. You can never say it enough. They need to hear it and you need to say it. King Solomon was known for his great wisdom. And he wrote one of the books in the Old Testament called the Song of Songs, professing the great love that he had for his wife. And over, dozens and dozens of times in that book, Solomon wrote how beautiful she was, said she was flawless like a lily among thorns, compared her to a mare among Pharaoh's chariots. Ladies, raise your hand if you'd like to be compared to a horse. I guess it worked back then. So guys, I don't really recommend that today. But still, the point is made, right? Solomon understood that when you speak life into people, they rise higher. The best comes out in them. And it's worth the effort because your destiny is linked to your family's destiny. And their destiny is linked to yours. It's a package deal. We learn that in the gospel today. Joseph had a dream. The angel told him to take Jesus because he was in danger. King Herod was jealous of the newborn king and wanted to get rid of him. The passage says Joseph rose and took the child and his mother by night and departed for Egypt. A couple of years later, Joseph had another dream. This time the angel told him it was safe to take Jesus home. So once again, Joseph rose, took the child and his mother, and went to the land of Israel. When he got there, he had a third dream, telling him it wasn't safe to settle down in Bethlehem because Archelaus, King Herod's son, had become the king of that region, and he was known to be a brutal and tyrannical ruler, and he would have no doubt tried to get revenge on behalf of his father, wipe out that Jesus problem once and for all. So once again, Joseph departed for the region of Galilee. 3 times Joseph had to relocate his family. 3 times Joseph rose to the occasion, packed up all the things, stepped out of the comfort he was enjoying in that moment, and into the unknown. He didn't realize it, but every one of those moves was positioning Jesus for his destiny. For example, in the gospel, but also in the Old Testament, it says, God says, "Out of Egypt I called my son." What does he mean? Well, in the Old Testament, long ago, God brought his firstborn son, the nation of Israel, out of slavery in Egypt into freedom. Now he was doing it again. Jesus would have his own Exodus moment, his own journey out of Egypt. It wasn't accidental. It was a sign. And here's another thing. When that angel rerouted Joseph from Bethlehem to Galilee to Nazareth, that wasn't a coincidence either. The gospel says he shall be called a Nazarene. The ancient prophets said that the Messiah would be like this strong branch growing out of the stump of King David's family line, a shoot sprouting out of what looked like a dead end. In Hebrew, the word branch sounds very much like, almost identical to, the word Nazareth. It wasn't a random connection. It was a sign again. God wanted to make sure that his son was raised in the branch city so that everyone would know that he had fulfilled his promise. Joseph thought he was just being a good husband and father, protecting his family, listening to God, doing the right thing. But all along, he was part of a much bigger plan. His obedience was guiding Jesus into his destiny. When you strengthen the ligaments of love in your family, you are making your future, your own future, stronger. Because you cannot reach your highest potential. You cannot achieve your purpose, your destiny in life without your family. You need them, and they need you. It's a package deal. None of us can do it alone. A few months ago, I celebrated my 60th birthday. I know, hard to believe. Shocking, right? Shocking. But anyway, I celebrated my 60th birthday. There was a lot of things going on. People were so kind to me. But one of my friends invited me over to her family's house for just a simple cookout. And when I arrived, I came inside and I looked outside onto their deck, and sitting next to the grill was my daughter. I couldn't believe it. What a surprise. She had come all the way from South Carolina to celebrate my birthday with me. I was stunned. And my friend had made all the arrangements, booked the flights, had another friend pick her up from the airport, let her stay, put her up in their family home. I was so touched. I was so touched. I don't get to see her as often as I would like because of the distance. The thing is, that week I was going through a very tough time. It was rough because there had been an unexpected event and a very serious event in our parish school. It had just happened, and I was under a tremendous amount of stress. Couldn't sleep at night, would wake up at 1 or 2 in the morning, couldn't get back down for sleep because my heart would be beating so hard. I had all these heart palpitations, very unusual. Let's just say that for my 60th, I gave myself the gift of an EKG, and it turned out everything's fine. There's no abnormalities, it's just there was the stress, and it's gone away now. But my daughter was really the one who helped me through it. She could have gone sightseeing, enjoyed the Bay Area, had fun with friends, but instead, she spent most of her time listening to me, reassuring me, just like I had done when she was a little girl, that everything was going to be okay, that I was doing a good job. And before she left, she painted this picture of our beautiful church. And every time I look at it in my room, it reminds me of my destiny, of why I am here, to be with you. My challenge for you, love your family. They may be broken in some ways, difficult to deal with, but they are a precious gift to you, and they won't always be there. Your family is not a chore. They are a calling, an opportunity to express love, to secure your own future, your own destiny. As today's first reading says, when you honor your father and mother, and by extension your whole family, heaven hears your prayers. God sees the good you do for your family even when it's hard, especially when it's hard, and it won't soon be forgotten. Like Solomon, make sure your family knows how much you appreciate them. Because when you put on that bond of love, that bond of perfection, which is love, when you strengthen those ligaments of love in your family, you're not just helping them move forward, you're not just helping them reach their destiny, you're helping yourself reach your own. And you are storing up treasure for yourself in heaven.